Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Tracey,
I'm Carol.
and we are My
Outlander.
Purgatory. Oh my god, you guys. That episode just about took the life out of me, I gotta tell you.
I have to start off by saying 3 times a charm. Because if I was underwhelmed the first 2 episodes, I certainly was overwhelmed this round. I 2 thumbs up from Carol already. I'll
Oh
throw
my
that out
god.
there.
This is going to be, and we started late tonight too. So Carol and I are going to be punch drunk and, maybe drunk, real drunk by the end of this. And, settle in right now, y'all, because this is going to be a long one. Because there is a lot to break down about this episode. And of course, I don't remember the first thing I was going to say about it. Oh my god, what was I gonna say? I don't know. All right. I was just gonna say hi, everyone. How are you? We're just because I realized we haven't really told anybody who we really are. This season for all our newbies. That's what it was. Yes.
Who we are.
Yeah, we're Trace and Carol. We're sisters. We
We
look nothing
are
alike.
everybody. Were you a Lost fan?
We've been doing this craziness for oh my god, 8 years now, maybe.
Videoing or
Well,
the
I
blog?
just happened to, in looking for some other videos, just watch the very first video we ever did, which was me in my robe talking about maybe Voyager, maybe this book to you because
think
I
it
was
was
tired
from-
of emailing you.
No,
all
it was
the
the Fiery
time.
Cross. It was the Fiery
Oh,
Cross.
it was the Fiery Cross. I was tired of emailing you all the time, and I was like, I know, I'll make her a little video. And I put it on YouTube, and I forgot to make it private, and then, people just started watching it. And I was like, really? And the rest is history. Anyway.
But you could have come onto the blog that I had been writing for a few years at that point, I believe.
I did! I don't really comment too much anymore because I just don't have time. Because I happen to be editing all the videos.
No,
So-
I'm talking about the couple of years that I was writing that blog before we started getting down and dirty with videos.
Oh, I thought you only wanted to write the blog. That's why I was like, Carol's like, why don't you do the Twitter?
I don't remember that. I remember more of you saying, I'm going to Twitter. That was back when Twitter was so new. How many years did I say? I started in 2000.
2009, because it's right around, no, I guess it's in November is the anniversary.
It's 8 years, November 1st, I think. I think it's 8. I couldn't, that's how I get with a book series. I can't take it. I gotta get it out.
Yeah.
And everyone's sick of hearing me talk about it. So then I just start a blog and next thing you know, there we are.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your alcohol of choice this evening? Is it the same alcohol of choice as you've had every other?
I told you, Santa Margarita. I know it's kind of boring. And especially with this glass, I think I should be doing a red Madeira.
Oh my God, no. It was 85 degrees out today in New Jersey. No, not that I'm really complaining. I shouldn't sound like that because I don't want it to be cold, whatever. But I think a red wine, for me, is a nice, winter wine,
Well, for me it is too. But when we're talking about 18th century Scotland and England, it's Madeira. Or did I tell you I had Madeira chicken when we went to City Tavern in Philadelphia and you do the whole, everybody's dressed like 18th century. You guys, it is so cool. Everything is spot on. And
was it pheasant? Was it Madeira?
No,
was
it
it pheasant with
chicken.
Madeira wine sauce? Or some other wine sauce that I don't remember what it was?
It was chicken with Madeira wine sauce. They had a lot of Madeira. But that's what they drank.
Were there carrots and neeps?
I was totally thinking about that when
let me say it slower.
I know.
Carrots and neeps.
Yeah, but he was like, oh, it was chicken in a wine sauce. And I was like, he would say Madeira.
He did. No, he said it was in a wine sauce with because he said it to Lord John too, and I couldn't tell what it was that he said.
I actually wrote that down because I couldn't understand for the life of me what came out of his mouth, and I rewound, and I still couldn't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some sort of like Scottish wine. Somebody tell us in the comments because somebody knows. I'm
going to read that when we get to that part too.
I have another bottle of Finger Lakes wine because we bought like a case of it, so that's what I'm going to be drinking for the next year or month, whatever. This is Lakewood Chardonnay, and it's very good. I would highly recommend it. Okay. So I know normally I like crack the whip on like we gotta go in order, but I do think maybe maybe it's appropriate to just talk a little bit about tonight's top story, and maybe you have a different idea of what you think tonight's top story is. What do you think it is?
Am I being quoted in Outlander
Yes.
or in?
Yes. Breaking Outlander news after this episode.
I don't know where you're going with this. I'm sorry.
I'm going with Murtaugh has been Lafayetted.
I actually have something written down for that too. That's a spoiler. Are we worrying about spoilers at this point, or?
I think if it's a really big spoiler, we should.
Guys, tell us in the comments. Have you read all the books or not? Because I'd like to get a feel. If like 99% of you are like, yeah, I've read all the books, then I don't think we're going to worry anymore about spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, depending. I sort of get what you mean with that. But all I know is that, I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that in the books, we are told that Murtaugh died at Culloden.
Right.
We don't ever know how it happened, I don't believe, unless I'm totally forgetting something. I don't think there's ever, like, a body found or anything, and that's the end of it. But what we have said in the past is that there is another character that, without any spoilers, kind of ends up, who we meet at Ardmere. Who ends up
so you think they're going to go there?
100%. 100%. This character, without saying what happens, this character kind of serves Murtaugh's role in terms of being Jamie's second, kind of older, a little wiser, his right-hand man. And I've said this all along in the series. I was like, there's no reason to introduce that character. Just don't kill off Murtaugh. And just, make him that guy.
Yeah, it never really made sense.
And so, Ron Moore, you can send the 10%, creative, idea fee to me in New Jersey.
And only Tracey, because no one else has ever thought that.
Guaranteed, 100%. We will see him again. That's what I'm thinking. And it's just going to be, again, we can talk the last 5 minutes of specifics, but it's going to be so delicious. I can't even stand it. All right. Do you want to start from the beginning now, and we can talk more about?
Yes, and I want to throw in there that I actually wrote down before we start. All of you book readers, which I'm kind of assuming is most of you. I could be wrong there though, and assuming we all know makes an ass out of you and me. If you're not doing so, go back and watch these episodes more than once, because
yes,
I am usually either, whether it's pressed for time or whatever, I just don't usually watch again. I catch it on Starz or whatever, but Tracey's very faithful in going back and making sure she has her second watch before we do this. Whereas I'm like, if I have time, I have time. Sometimes Tom and I will sit in front of the TV. It comes on, we watch it again, whatever. But I've been watching these again, and you pick up on so much stuff you missed the first time.
Yep.
And especially because I watch with Tom. The first time around, Tom and I watch together. So, because he loves it too. So,
we're
like,
and you're commenting on stuff.
Well, no, Tom's not a big fan of talking during television and film. But it is where, I can't be all, oh my God, because he's like, oh, really? So I am watching with a different view and a different set of glasses, if you will. than I would if it's just me, where I'm stopping and starting and stopping and starting and writing down and oh my God, and look at that, and I never caught that the first time, and look at his face, and that kind of stuff. So just watch more than once if you
I completely agree. I will give you an example even. One of my complaints, I mean, I didn't have many complaints in this episode, but
you have many complaints.
I know I didn't have many, but one of them I was like, one of them I said was, again, just after one watch and like kind of not really having my thoughts together yet.
Right,
I was like, I really thought that they needed to show a little more of the particular closeness between Frank and Bree. This is after my first watch. My first watch. I was like, you didn't really get like why he was all like, oh well, she'll totally go with me to England because you suck. But on the second watch, there's all these little subtle things. There's when he's not going to go to the graduation dinner, and she's all like, well, I'm not going either. And he's like, oh, darling. Blah, blah, blah. And then, I don't know, maybe the birthday party. Oh, I know what yeah. The birthday party, she's like,
you really are getting ahead. Do you want
I
to
want a Mercedes. And, well, no, I'm just saying, like, I didn't notice this before. And Claire's like, you're not getting a car. And he's like,
ew, maybe it's sitting outside with a bill on it already.
So that was all on my second watch, all of it. So yes, you totally pick up on stuff. Good point, Carol. I would agree with that. I just
dabbed.
What?
Sorry, I just dabbed.
Oh, okay. All right, so here we go. The title of this episode, which I loved, is called All Debts Paid. How many levels is that?
Many.
Was
that a Newfie?
What?
The dog? What kind of dog is that?
Oh! Did we... Oh, you know what? Maybe they did have a dog in the book, now that I'm thinking about it. They did have a dog in the book. And I can't say how I know, but, yes, they have a dog in the book. I don't know. I don't know my dog breeds, though. I don't know.
I'm surprised it's not an English setter.
Oh, if it was Frank.
For Frank, because England is best.
Yes, that title was great. The writer is Matt Roberts of Matt Roberts fame, who's written a boatload of awesome episodes. And the director is the director of episode 301, Brendan Maher. I must commend the powers that be for doing something that they or not doing something, I should say, that they've done in the past and I've been really pissed about. They didn't do it. They did not put Duncan LaCroix's name in the opening credits.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because
I didn't even pick up on that.
Because remember they did it with Dougal in season 1? Or, no, season 2.
I don't know.
Whenever, like, he surprises Claire at the cave and basically...
Oh, right.
So, like, you hadn't seen him, like, all season or whatever. And it's supposed to be this big shocker, except there's his name in the credits, so we totally know it's coming. Or same with leg hair. That kind of could have been a surprise, too.
Right.
But this was a total surprise.
Right.
Yeah, like well done on that. Well done on that.
Yes.
And our Easter egg, like Carol said, is the dog and the birthday cake, and I guess
I love that dog. I want one.
It was a very handsome dog. So we open on Boston, 1956, and Frank is making a real English breakfast because, God forbid, Brianna asked him for...
Notice the big box. Because I'm an American. I'm a dirty, waffle-eating American. I may send some waffles to Tobias Nancy.
I know, right? Hashtag send Tobias waffles.
I wonder what his mother thinks of Eggo waffles.
And I'm really starting to be influenced by all of the sticklers out there who are like, did this really happen at this date or this really happened at this date? Because I was like, did they have Eggo waffles in 1956?
Well, they have checkers for that, so I'm going to guess they did.
I looked it up, and it was 1953. I will have you know.
Yeah, they usually stuff like that. Are you kidding me? In my illustrious film career, Tony used to call me at like 11 o'clock at night from California and be like, quick, check smoking in 1972. Did they let 18-year-olds smoke? So yes, I have Snotty McEnglish Pants doesn't want Brie eating Eggo waffles. I swear, I wonder if they're trying to make us hate Frank on purpose.
This was, there's a great chasm in the Outlander world. The people who hate Frank and the people who really hate Frank.
That was the best thing you've ever said. It's so true. It's so true. Like, on the blog, I have the occasional, like, no, Frank, whatever. And I have nothing but respect for you guys. That's Frank great. I've kind of gone through the,
I know.
I've run the gamut. I usually don't like Frank, but there have been times when and in this episode, there were once or twice, I will throw it out there and I'll tell you when. But yeah,
I mean, for all the people who are like, Ron loves him. He has such a man crush on Frank. Frank was portrayed as a real dick in a lot of this episode.
Let me tell you something. The next thing I have is go the F back to England if you hate it here.
Yes!
This terrible country that's giving you all this opportunity, and all you do is shit on it. Bye-bye. Don't let the Big Mac hit you on the ass on the way out.
And not to
Did you hear?
Yes, I did. The Big Mac hit you on the way out. That was good. That was good.
God, he's already on to her next statement. Because God forbid I take longer than my allotted 10 seconds.
Oh, shut up! I don't know. Oh. No, that was very funny. Don't let the Big Mac hit you on the way out. Were Big Macs invented in 1956?
I was just trying to think of something American that Frank would hate.
I have to say that, and I don't want, anybody who's English to be insulted by this.
Oh, no.
But
Come on,
I would take a stack of Eggo waffles out of the toaster, like, every day and twice on Sunday before I'd take an English breakfast. Cause, yeah.
Well, no, I don't mind an English breakfast, but I'm not a fan of black pudding.
I don't like the black pudding. I don't like they don't make the eggs the way I like them. I don't like the sausages, which I guess is kind of black pudding.
I'm actually a pretty big fan of, but I don't remember being served an English breakfast, but I was served the Scottish breakfast and the Irish breakfast, which are pretty much the same exact thing.
Yeah,
but
it's the kind of like roasted, or not even roasted, like sautéed tomatoes or grilled tomatoes. I do like those, but
they bring a little sweetness almost.
They're like either hard boiled or they're like, I don't like that.
Do you see what's behind me?
No, because I have you really little. And
that Jamie is sitting on. That would be one of our Britain and Ireland books that we picked up at AAA last week.
Oh, are you going to Britain and Ireland?
25th wedding anniversary is in June.
Nice. Ooh.
Taking the kids.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
That's our thing to look forward to in 2018, which is going to be much better than 2017.
Maybe Aunt Tracey and Uncle John will like sort of, hide in your suitcase.
John said the same thing.
You
guys.
That John. It's always confusing because Tom's brother's name is John and my husband's name is John, and it's just a big confusing mess.
And his father and our grandfather, which is why my son is Ian. Mm-hmm. Scottish version of John. All right,
need to go to Italy because everyone has gone to Italy this year. Italy is the new Iceland. Am I wrong?
I don't know, but I was actually trying to consider doing Scotland and Italy. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's ever said, I went to Scotland and Italy.
No, I went to Italy. Okay.
Yeah, that's still on the table. I really like to see, now that I knew where Grandma's family dates back to the 1700s, I'd kind of like to see it. Anyway,
So when you saw Claire and Frank seemed to be like, very comfortable with each other, very like getting along really well. And Claire's all like, let's go to the movies. We could go see, this or that, or Carousel.
Yes.
And Frank's like, they do sound very nice. I've seen both of them.
Yeah.
And that's code for I'm doing someone else, Claire. I'm making out with someone else in the balcony of the movies.
But I'm being discreet. Might I say that Claire's hair, whoever is doing the hairstyles, is fantastic.
Yes.
It looks, let me tell you something. We have our mother's yearbook from 1950, and her hair is that same sideways. The thing that kills me, because I'm always trying to get more height, it goes out it's like flatter on the top, and the sides come out to like here. Do you remember that picture of Mom, Tracey? Mm-hmm. We have to find this, and you have to.
I just remember her in the like
cut that in.
They went to some formal, black tie thing, and she's in like some fancy Oscars dress, and my dad's in a tux, but she's got hair like this.
I have that picture. She has a beehive. That's like from the 60s. I'm talking about the 50s.
I don't know. I have to look it up.
And Claire's hair is exactly, it looks like a nest almost, and it's way out wide, like Princess Leia.
So let's talk about this a little bit. Can we talk about this whole open marriage thing? Because it's very different from the book.
But he said it was her.
Yeah. And I mean, that really clouds a lot. To your point about watching it again, when I watched it the first time, my sympathies were totally with him. And every time she was like, what? Yeah, I was like, did you not suggest this to him? Like, what do you want him to do? Like, but then the second time, I was like, no, he's being kind of a dick.
Mm-hmm.
But
I just keep saying, does he need to say it? Does he need to tell her?
Yes, exactly. You know what? People do see Carousel twice in the movie theater. Like, they do. Maybe you just go. This is the thing, and I had this problem all the way through. I mean, I'm skipping a little bit, but like with the graduation thing too, and we'll get to that. But like, really, he's really gonna skip graduation night? All right, we'll get to it. All right, okay. So it's an interesting twist. I mean, in the books, it's not really how it goes down. Although there is a sense, well, it's different in the books, but there is a sense that Frank maybe is not exactly being faithful. But there's no agreement. There's no formal, like signed treaty at, Versailles or whatever that has been signed and is in effect for 20 years or whatever.
They bought their tickets. They knew what they were getting into. I say, let them crash.
So it is kind of like, Claire, you made your bed, bro. Like, and I think she is accepting of that, at this point anyway. Or she. You
made your bed, not mine.
So they have an agreement. And the other thing that made me laugh about that scene was that, they were talking about like Bree's so American, and like, she doesn't like her, like when it's her, we've got to like turn her from Dr. Seuss to like Chaucer or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she comes skipping in and she's like 10. I'm like, really? She's still all into Dr. Seuss? I mean, Dr. Seuss is good. Like, no, like let's, but like,
Well, you don't forget it was the 50s.
She hasn't moved on to like Little House on the Prairie or something?
She didn't have Kardashians to follow at that point.
I guess. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jenners. I don't have Hollywood people.
Okay. So, you have anything more to say about that little vignette?
No, I think I've done enough Frank bashing for one scene.
There's plenty more to come. So
I just don't understand. I don't understand if you're so okay. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I want to say, okay, maybe he's just correlating. Like he's to him, America means Claire not loving him. I can't understand. You're here. You were given this opportunity. Maybe I guess he's just resentful that he'd rather be in England, but because his wife dared to go off to another time period and come back pregnant with somebody else's child, didn't they go to Boston to didn't he take that job to get away so that they wouldn't have to, people wouldn't know them? It wouldn't.
I think it was more to get her as far away from the scene of the crime, if you will.
I remember it as him being like, I'm going to take that job and we'll go and start a new life elsewhere.
Right.
So
but like it's easier to start a new life in Boston. That's like, 3,000 miles away from.
Right. But do you remember Frank hating America so much? Not hating, but being so distasteful about America in the books? Number one, I don't. And number two, and again, guys, maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. So there might be in black and white. Frank hated America. I don't remember. And that's fine. If he did, I just don't remember. Or maybe I didn't take it that way when I was reading it in the books. But my question to you is, are you ready for this?
I'm ready for it.
If he and Claire had a happy marriage and she was all into him and looked at him, would he have been as sarcastic about, would he have the same bad attitude about living in America and Bree being American?
Yes. Frank, see, I will disagree with you in that I don't know that Frank's disdain for America has to do with, the fact that Claire is sort of building a life in America. I think Frank's disdain for America is that he's British to the core. He's a historian, so he lives and breathes this whole, remember the litany of like the British people that he like listed last episode, which by the way was like sort of a tribute to a monologue in 1776. As Ron Moore said last week. But, he was like the Stuarts and the this and the that and the and the Tudors and the blah, 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 blah. He's just so, like...
Don't you mean the Tudors?
I'm sorry. The Tudors.
The Tudors.
He's so ingrained in that
right.
It's part of his blood. And so, when he sees his daughter... I don't think it's like that he dislikes America so much. I think he's just like, he feels like they're kind of like he notices that there may be more negative things about America. Like, they're maybe a little lazy or they're like too, he's always picking up on like the food stuff. Think about Claire and think about how she was raised, okay? She was raised all over the world. She's a child of the world. Frank was raised... wherever the hell he was raised in England. Frank is a proud Brit. He is a British. He has, his blood bleeds blue or whatever it is that you bleed when you're British. I don't know.
Well, you know what?
So that's the big difference. I mean, like Claire's going to be able to assimilate in anywhere she goes. Frank is always going to be always going to feel like this is a strange land to him. That's where I see it from, and I don't see it as like he's going to like America more if Claire's nice to him.
Okay.
I mean, we can disagree about that. That's fine.
No, we don't disagree. I'm not disagreeing. I don't know what to think. I don't understand why he's so like I said, this country is giving him a lot of opportunity. He has a very good job, a lovely house, and he's shitting on it.
Right.
So go home. Leave. That's how
There's
I
the door.
feel.
Let's do the Randy Randinelli thing. You don't like it? There's the door.
There's the door. And guess what? Diana Gabaldon, Ron Moore, all of these people, it's fascinating how in their own way, not that they meant to, they're touching on modern day as well. I have the same thought process there. If you don't like it, no one is forcing you to stay here. Like, so he doesn't like it here. I guess he's resentful because he can't go home to England because, he doesn't want to leave Bree and let me ask you this. And I don't remember this from the book. Did he ever ask Claire to go back to England?
I don't think so. I don't remember. I mean,
because maybe they could have done that.
The other thing too, Carol, is like, now I think you're taking it a little too far. In my opinion, there's a difference between being irritated at stuff that you find like, kind of disdainful about America and friggin' hating America and wanting to go home.
Yeah, but he does. And he does.
I mean,
but he
hell, there's a lot of shit that bugs me about New Jersey, but I still live here, right?
I do under duress.
Clearly, like, there's got to be a reason why I stay. Why I don't just, like, pick up and go.
It's called a mortgage.
Yeah, well, you know what? I could have a mortgage in another state that would be a third of the mortgage that I have now.
And
let's not get started on the taxes.
And 1/8 of the taxes. I don't know. I certainly don't want to get political.
All right, let's move on because we're only on like the first. I
am complimenting both Diana Gabaldon and Ron Moore, and maybe they're not. It's not like they're trying. Oh, let's compare today. Well, Diana Gabaldon wrote this a long time ago, so she certainly wasn't. But I'm just saying, I'm finding it interesting when you look at it. I always compare it to today. I always compare Outlander to today, don't you? In different ways. I mean, different scenarios that go on through the books. I would say, oh, not today, blah, 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 blah. But all I'm saying is, Frank, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong because I can't say no one's keeping you here because they are. He can't leave because of Bree. At least that's commendable that he's not like, see ya, I'm going back to England. Raise your kid by yourself.
Right.
But let me ask you this. Do you feel, I feel that the statement I'm about to make, I always have to cover myself because people are going to say, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I don't think this is through no one's fault. This is not production's fault. This is no one's fault. But I feel like the relationship, I believe you said this in the beginning of the video, the relationship between Frank and Bree, to me, was not able to be expressed, was not able to really show how tight they were.
Right.
So for somebody, especially who hasn't read the books, really see, and maybe it ended up on the cutting room floor and they needed a little bit more Jamie, which we got. I'm so happy. So maybe that's why. Maybe they did have the two of them out getting ice cream or who knows.
Right.
But it's unfortunate, especially for the non-book readers, that I didn't get that. I didn't get that.
Right.
I still felt like Frank was the guy who took her in. I never really felt like Frank was her father. You know what I mean? And again, it's no one's fault. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not blaming.
That's why you watch it a second time. Because I did get that much more on the second watch. You're right. I was expecting the scene between like teenage Bree and Claire have some big fight and Bree runs off and Frank comforts her and she's like, I hate mommy. And Frank's like, oh, darling, your mother's just trying, she tries very hard with you. You have to be more patient. Okay. Daddy, I really like you better. And we didn't get that. But, so you really had to watch carefully and you had to watch, the two of them together.
Yeah.
And you saw it on that second viewing.
First of all, did she call her mummy? She is painfully American. And what else did you just say about whatever.
We have to move on because this is we could do
yes,
a whole video.
And I
want to
say something. We have to move on.
Okay. All right, we flip over to Ardmere, 1755.
And the first thing I have is Lord John, maybe the hottest thing I've ever seen.
I have new sheriff in town. Hello, Lord John. David Barry. Yum, yum, yum.
Is it me? Or if you look at Lord John up close, he looks like he could be the love child of Brad Pitt and Rob Lowe.
Oh, my God. Okay. I have a love child match, too. And you got one of them. Brad Pitt, yes. But my other dad is James Marsden.
Oh, love him. He's so funny. I love him.
Do you know who I mean? Not James Marsters from Buffy. James Marsden.
Yeah. And what did I just say? I love him. He's hilarious.
Well, James Marsters is hilarious too. But James Marsden.
Who's James Marsters?
He's on Buffy. He's Spike.
I didn't watch Buffy, but I've seen James Marsden in many films,
James
and
Marsden,
he's a riot.
I remember him from Hairspray. That's
do you know I've never seen
Collins.
I've never seen that, but he was really awesome and hilarious in that princess movie. I don't remember what it was.
Yes, but it's the Brad Pitt and James Marsden. But I could see the Rob Lowe. I got that.
Yes.
He was hot AF. That's all I have to say.
I have some questions for you about him. But going forward, what's the next thing I have written down in all shouty caps with many hearts next to it? That you've already mentioned in this
Murtaugh.
video. Yes.
Well, let me just, all right. So they do. So we see Lord John. He's new guy.
Being briefed.
He's being debriefed. Frenchman's gold. We get all sorts of exposition. Gets the lay of the land. Oh, there's, you're going to only talk with your officers. And that one guy over there, because he's really smart and sophisticated and stuff. Even though he's a prisoner, he's tried Jamie, and you should have him over for dinner once a week because he's a hoot. And then that guy.
That and they won't riot.
And then and that guy ends up showing up, actually, I believe, in a lot of the Lord John books. Harry, is that Harry Carey? I don't know, I don't remember. But anyway, yes. So Jamie is the only one in irons. Then there's a familiar voice, and yes, it's Murtaugh.
And a familiar cough.
And okay, I have a confession to make. That whole scene.
Keep going.
Whole scene, I was like, "Oh my God, it's Murtaugh!" Wait, is it Murtaugh?
I did the same thing the first time I watched it.
The voice is exactly him, but he looks nothing like Murtaugh.
It was almost like you felt bad for them because they screwed up their big reveal. Because I was like, it's Murtaugh. And then the second time, I knew by the end, and then the second time I watched it, I was like, yeah, still not.
I thought it looked a lot more like him the second time I watched it because I knew it was him. But, I literally, the whole scene, and I think I marked it down my notes where I finally realized it was him. Yeah, it's like, okay, Murtaugh's voice is coming out of this dude that looks like Charles Manson. And I don't quite get it. Yeah. But then, and also, I know what it was. I wrote this down. Jamie was sort of talking a bit figuratively about Claire, but it was like, yeah, when he had the thistles on Murtaugh's rat bite.
I love that.
Jamie's all like, yeah, I learned it from this woman I knew. She was really good with this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, see, it's not Murtaugh, because if it was Murtaugh, he'd be like, yeah, I learned it from Claire.
Yeah. I loved when Murtaugh said, when you sent her back through the stone.
I know. Well, that's later on. By that point, it was good. But I really didn't.
Okay, so they brought up the diskilting act with the little piece of
yes, and I thought that was going to lead somewhere, but it did not. I won't really say because I don't want to spoil it for non-book readers.
Okay.
But book readers know what I mean, and I was like, ooh. That's going to be interesting. I see where that's going, but it didn't go
I don't know what you're talking about.
The cloth? The little square of cloth?
All I took it as is the diskilting act. They're not allowed to have anything with plaid on it.
The little square of cloth, Carol, is a huge plot point in the books.
Because of the... Okay, all right, I know what you're talking about. And
it's somebody else that has the little square of cloth in the books. Yes. But clearly it was Murtaugh here, and I was like, this is going to be interesting. But then it never panned out. But that's okay. I'm good with that.
And then he shoved it back in its little hidey hole.
I know. I'm like...
And I was like, get that back. You need to hang on to that.
I just have to say I'm so glad. I'm so glad. It was such a no-brainer to keep him around.
Right. I agree. But I have a question now for you.
Yes.
Do you think... I think I wrote this down. But actually, I think I wrote it down later, so who knows? Maybe I'll... my question is, do you think... There it is. That Murtaugh's presence kept Jamie from really coming off as pitiful as he did in the books? Because he has Murtaugh there now. Like in the books, yeah, he was McDo, and yeah, he was in charge, but, there were times when he was... sleeping, freezing, shaking under like a, a bench or something, and having the nightmares. He was just, the sympathy was pouring out of your pores while reading this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched this episode, and he's sad, and it's sad. I mean, it's sad to watch him. He's suffering. He's got the chains on, but with Murtaugh there, I sort of felt like, oh, but his fam's there.
It's a little anchor.
Yeah, he wasn't quite as pitiful. He didn't come off as pitiful as he did in the books.
I mean,
and
think
that's
he was
fine.
still sad
That's
though.
fine.
Like he couldn't talk about Claire. Like even to Murtaugh, he couldn't say her
forlorn.
name.
He was forlorn. He had a general sadness running through. The thread was just sadness running through him. Yes, but it was just a question. I just wanted your opinion on if you thought that.
Yeah,
or not.
I mean, I still thought he was pretty sad. I thought, like I said, it was really like he couldn't even say the name Claire to Murtaugh, and when he finally says it out loud to Lord John,
which was interesting in and of itself, that he was able to say it to Lord John, which they slipped in, and you could have missed it, which is another reason to watch it more than once. Oh, yeah, Murtaugh's doing great after 3 months of the physician seeing him. So now you're supposed to say in your head, oh, this has been 3 months of once-a-week dinners and chess games and sharing the Madeira. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you missed that, which I caught it briefly in the first one, but I read the books. If you missed that, because it really was quick, then you might be like, well, how the hell are they so tight now that Jamie's telling him this?
Well, I mean, would you have missed it, though? Because it was pretty obvious.
I guess it would have been
after 3 months!
later. That's exactly what I was just going to say. You can't
after
have,
3 months of this.
You can't, oh, my God. Look at her showing her microphone.
It's so professional.
Are we going on the radio station tomorrow?
I have to be careful I didn't turn off. Okay. But we're like so jumping ahead too.
So what? We have to. It's late.
I know.
Let's go.
Oh my God. I'm not even looking at the clock here. Again, I gotta tell you, it's gonna be a late one. So, and you can tell Jamie's like eyeing Lord John like, I know who he is. So they have a little meet and greet, whatever. And Lord John is sort of showing himself as someone who takes pity on the prisoners, who has some feelings. He doesn't get them all cats. And Jamie's like, well, no, they don't want that because they eat the rat. Okay, back in Boston. So,
how did you? Whoa.
What?
How did you like the way Jamie said? First of all, I have so much written down here. Loved when he was smelling the thistle leaves. When he was with Murtaugh, when he was talking about him being sick or whatever, and he got the memory, like he smelled it, and he just like, I guess I don't give a lot of kudos to Sam, and I have tons this episode. He smelled the leaves, and then he was just like, you saw it in his face that and how memories always come flooding back at sense. This sense of smell is like your most heightened sense. So, I don't even know what I wrote down here the next, but. When he said only when they're lucky enough to catch one, that was stellar about the rats.
Yeah.
About that whole conversation that Jamie's like only when they're lucky enough to catch one. The look in his face, I was like, he's done it. He has crossover children. Sam Heughan is now right on up there with everybody else because I thought it was so silly that it was a conversation about rats that made me go, oh my God. He was just so perfect in this episode.
Yep.
I can't. Yep. Sam is really killing it now.
Sam is killing this whole season. I think he's doing a stellar job. And the thing with the rats line that I remember, there's sometimes he gets this thing in his voice that's like kind of a gravelly thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was totally on display in that rats line. Where it's like...
Well, he also does that whole...
Yeah.
Jamie was always in the book.
The MMMPH thing?
But he was... That's the only thing Sam ever tweeted to me back in the day, years ago, when he was a no one.
When we were the only ones that knew.
Yeah, back when Sam was a no one, I remember having a little funny conversation about oomph. But he does what Sam does the best is just like it's very quiet, but it's there.
It's gravelly. All right, are we ready to go back to Boston? Are you ready to go back To Boston.
Do we have to?
So Claire's got a diploma, and Frank has turned into Austin Powers.
I know what's going to be put into this video now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. With the glasses. Oh, boy. What'd you think of those glasses? Because I know you made mention of them when we saw some pictures that came out a few months ago of.
I'm sorry. It's so Austin Powers. It's so very. It's just so Austin Powers. I mean, I don't know. You know, I mean, first the open marriage and the arrangement, then he gets like the groovy glasses and the turtleneck. Then, you know, it just becomes like, yeah, baby, yeah. So Claire, so they're having a little party for Claire. It's her graduation. They're all going out to a big restaurant. But Frank can't go because he has some work to do. Really, Frank? Really?
That, to me, was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen on Outlander. Right. I am sorry. He's not... They're trying to keep up appearances.
Right.
He's being discreet. But he's not going to partake in the... He's not going to go with them to dinner. His wife just graduated med school, and he's not going... I'm sorry, what?
Right.
That made zero sense.
Yes, I agree.
You could have come up with a better way to introduce his girlfriend.
Candy,
they could have run into each other out while walking to the market. I mean, come on now. It was just ridiculous.
It was so, like, and
no
you could tell, like, you know, the minute that... The minute that she was like, no, dinner reservations are for 7. And he's like, I thought they were for 6. And she's like, no, they're for 7.
Now I know
you watch him and he's like this. He's like,
shall we shag now or shall we shag later?
Now let me tell you a story.
Yeah. She can't light burners and he can't figure out what time to be out of the house.
There was okay, I don't know, like, I'm a big Brady Bunch fan.
Oh my God, I had the Brady Bunch written down in this. Wow.
Well, this is the little backstory. So evidently...
Is this a long backstory?
No. Robert Reed, Mike Brady, was like a very, like studied actor. Like, he was, you know, went to whatever.
Didn't want to be Mike Brady.
Didn't want to be Mike Brady. Didn't want to be in a sitcom. Did the show because he really genuinely loved, like, the kids. He treated the kids like family. He took them on, like, cruises and vacations. But, like, thought the scripts were a piece of shit. Like, was constantly yelling and screaming at the producers, at the writers, like, this is ridiculous. Like, nothing, like, nobody would ever do this. And I gotta say, it crossed my mind, like, did Tobias pull something like that? Because it was so, like, so dumb. It was so, like,
dumb.
And, you know, and I'm sorry, like to your point, they're trying to keep up appearances. His wife just graduated from medical school and they're having a big celebration. He's really not going to go? Really?
Really? Why do Claire and her entire entourage have to leave the house? It's her night. Like, why is everybody? Oh, Frank's girlfriend's here. Let's all 45 of us leave, so the two of them can have the American
twin
man.
bed, the American twin bed. No, that was just so dumb. That was just it was just not believable, and it really, like. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think that they've treated this Frank Claire thing almost better than the book. I think the book kind of maybe makes him to be, without spoilers, a little more of a bad guy. But I think up to this point, they've kept it really even keel with, like, you can understand the situations that each one of them is in, and you can understand why they respond the way they do. Yeah, this was just douchey. This was just douchey.
It was, but you know what? Here I go with my almost underdog thing. Tom says I take in strays. I sort of, I don't want to say it was a big turnaround on Frank, but I felt bad for Frank because Frank was obviously acting out. Frank is like, you know what? It's bad enough. I've got no attention from this woman after I took her and her illegitimate kid back, and raised her kid as my own and get no lovin', no good lovin' from her. But now, like, she's going to be this big old doctor, Dr. Randall. And he said that at one point. And, he admitted that he kind of sabotaged on purpose because he's just so hurt that everything comes before him. And I was like, I can kind of feel for him with that. Like, he's just never done anything but try and make her happy, and it just doesn't work.
I agree.
So now he had to like share the bedroom with Jamie and her. Now he has to share her with medicine. Like, he's like, what else is going to come before me? We had Jamie, then we have the kid, which luckily I was glad they never really went there, that like she loves the kid so much that he's a chopped liver. But now he has to share her with medicine. And I felt bad for him because I was like, I can't blame him. He just loves her and everything's more important than him. So I'm not saying it was right what he did, but
I get it. And that's why I'm saying that it's been very balanced. Like, you can kind of see, up to this point, I've kind of been Team Frank. I've kind of been like, I don't blame him. And the fact is that he has given Claire a million outs. And she's like, no, I'm going to see it through.
Well, now she's financially able to take the out. Before, who's paying for medical school? You know what I mean? Like, Claire's going to medical school. She needed Frank. She needed a father for her baby. She needed someone to pay the bills, which is why she went to the market and dealt with Millie and tried to make dinner. She did it. She tried to hold up her end of the bargain and be the little wifey because she needed him.
Right. I don't know. I found it very, and your point is very well taken. Like, for somebody who is very into keeping up appearances and,
yes.
Being discreet.
Yes.
Come on. Like, you got a house full of people.
Right.
And you're like, oh, Candy Sandy, come over at 7.
Right.
Or at 6
he did
or whatever.
It on purpose. He didn't, I'm not saying he sat around and thought, I'm going to sabotage her American medical school graduation. But I think he did it, oopsie, because subconsciously he's angry at her. That's one more thing coming before him. He's angry that things seem to be falling into place for her, and yet he's...
I guess, but I will say on your third watch, you'll notice the oh shit look in his eye when Claire's like, oh no, our reservation is until 7, so we're going to hang out here a little more.
Oh no, I noticed it. And how about Bree, go play? Bree's like, who's this? Is this someone here to see me?
Okay. So we've met Frank's little girlfriends, and whatever. Claire's not happy.
Who's not leaving?
Yeah.
If you were the girlfriend, wouldn't you be like, oh, sorry, wrong house?
Yeah. And yeah, baby, yeah.
And how'd you like how Claire just looked perfect, and Claire's dressed in winter white? She was perfect.
Everything was perfect. All that outfit, that graduation outfit was so great.
It was to die.
It just makes me want to never eat again, and be and grow a foot so I can wear all those great Jackie O-ish kind of outfits.
But I don't understand why she was okay in the first place with him not being there.
Right. Exactly.
Your wife is graduating medical school that I'm trying to realize here. If she went to Harvard, was it free because he works there?
Yeah, I just, it bugged me. It really bugged me. Like, this is something that I do think that they've got like a camaraderie in a sense, and I think he would be there for her. I think he is proud of her. I don't think he hates her that much.
This would have been on the calendar for months.
Yes.
This is my graduation. We're having all these people. Frank, you want to keep up appearances. So why are you leaving? Why are you coming with us? Like, what do you mean you're not coming with us?
But I think that they liked each other a little more than that,
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that.
She wasn't giving Frank what he needed. and he wanted to leave, and he wanted to marry this other girl, and I get that.
Right.
But he didn't have to be a dick about it. That's what I keep coming back to, you know?
Right. But maybe he felt he did. Maybe he's just sick of what he feels like he's being used time and time again, and he's tired of it. And he's stuck, and he can't leave because of her, because of Bree, but we'll get to that.
Right.
So now we're back. Okay. So now we're back to Ardsmuir.
Okay, now we get to the whole, like, the old guy, Duncan old guy on the road, muttering something about gold. This part's kind of boring. Lord John is like, well, if you translate, I'll take off the irons.
Yeah.
And Jamie's like, no, I need doctors for everyone. And they settle on a bargain, and then we're back to Boston.
Hang on a minute.
What? Did I miss
All right,
something?
this didn't really matter.
The whole, you know, it bored me in the book too. Like the whole, you know, old guy and the silky story and the white witch.
All right, I'm going to take one for the team and skip that.
Okay. Do you have something to say about it?
Just something silly that was just a little. It was so silly.
What? Tell me.
He and Lord John were just like standing there, like kind of going back and forth, and Jamie takes a step to Lord John, and I just loved how like the old spindly like soldier guarding Jamie in the doorway takes a step. Like, really?
What are you gonna do about it, bro?
Really? He's like 10 million feet tall. He's gonna pummel you.
Do you think that David Barry, who is Lord John, the actor that's playing Lord John, and we are on board, David Barry, on board with you.
He's perfect, and they have a rapport. The rapport already after one episode.
Chemistry. It's good.
Perfect.
Chemistry. But do you think they're the same height?
Mm-hmm.
Because they later on they shot
out
them
in the grass.
They
in the grass. Yes.
They shot them so that he looked much shorter than Jamie. In the books, that Lord John is considerably shorter than Jamie. But I think that they really are the same height.
It's at one point they're outside, and I'm like, he's not looking up to Jamie at all. No. Like, they're kind of eye to eye, which was fine with me. I didn't care about that at all.
It's not that big a deal. But I just happened to notice it because whatever way they shot them, he was so much shorter.
Right.
Okay. We're back to Boston. And Frank is in trouble, and he's a little drunk.
Frank comes home inebriated.
Should we talk about Drunk Frank? I don't know if we've ever seen Drunk Frank before. Drunk
Frank was cute.
Drunk Frank was, Drunk Frank was still a little bit like, it was just, the whole thing was so interesting. My brain was like a tennis match. It was like a tennis match in my brain. And like, sometimes Claire would be in the lead, and then sometimes Frank would be in the lead. And then sometimes Claire would be in the lead, and then sometimes Frank would be in the lead.
Yeah,
this is one where Frank was in the lead. Because, you know, does Claire have the right to be mad about something that she made happen?
Right, and I was the most impressed with the fact that neither one of them spilled their drink. They were like,
well, that's why you drink whiskey, because it only goes up to that much of the glass.
Claire, and the two of them are like, oh, really? Because I'm like, wow, no one is spilling their drink.
That's a talent.
And that's when he said, oh, sorry, Mr. Randall.
So I was just like,
Jerry
Jerry and Nellie done
a year ago.
So I gotta ask, like, what was the point of them?
He dumped. The point was to show that Claire could never be a dumbass housewife. Like Millie. Nellie Olsen Millie. And now Jerry divorced Millie a year ago, and he never sees his kids. Did we need Nellie Olsen to know that, like, Claire could never be a dumb housewife? And B, did we need Jerry to know that if Frank left Claire, he would risk never seeing Bree? Like, no. I think maybe they were just trying to show a little 1950s. They were trying to show a little 1950s Americana, which again shows Frank in a very interesting light. He's fighting Eggo waffles with, every fiber of his being.
Right.
But I think Frank liked having Jerry and Millie come over for dinner. I guess because it was more of he was trying anything he could to get Claire to be, the wife and the husband and the neighbors having dinner and yay. And, he just wanted so badly.
They were a traditional couple. They were
Yes.
But look at them. They clearly were not.
So
I
there
don't
you
know. I kind of thought it was a little dumb to like be like, oh well, they got divorced and Jerry never sees kids anymore.
Yeah.
Like why? Like I think that they served their purpose last week, and we never have to see them again. And
Right.
bringing them in now to be like a litmus or
Right.
like it made no sense.
Silly.
To me. It made
But
no sense
whatever.
to me. But anyway, the whole like when Claire's like, "Have you effed her in our bedroom?" I just started laughing. I'm like, "Yeah, Claire," because she was totally like, "Ooh, twin beds. Let's do it in your twin bed, just like my high school bedroom."
That's what I thought. I was like, in our bedroom, your bedroom is like, it's not exactly the most exciting place in town.
Ooh, Frank. Then will you like pretend that your mother's like about to walk in on us? It's so hot.
You know what's so funny about that is like, did you do it in our bedroom? Normally it would be, did you do it in our bed? But it's in our bed. I almost felt like, who cares if he did it? It's his bed.
No. Claire should be like, did you at least do it in your bed?
Did you have to step over my dirty nylons to get to your bed?
Knickers.
Because I'm such a lousy housewife, I didn't pick up any of them. My skivvies are all over the floor.
Oh my god. So they kind of that, but the argument was really great, and they both, again, the two of them, Tobias and Katrina hitting it out of the park. They're just it's real. It's a real marriage, and it's nobody's. Both sides are at fault, and neither side is at fault.
And I also have, she's not the only one to blame. Like, what does he expect from her? The heart wants what the heart wants. But then I have, poor Claire has no one. Like, she really touched me too, because she was just with the tears in her eyes, because he's like, got, what's her name? And Claire's realizing, like, I have no one. She's realizing, like, I have no one. I haven't even thought about, I can't. Yeah. Right. Very sad. And now we go to Jamie doing his little translation.
So, yeah, he asked about the gold, the White Witch will come to you, blah, 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 blah. Again.
That fascinated me when he said, like, she will come for you.
It was interesting, like, the way, that whole monologue, and it was how it was all, like, mixed up in English and Gaelic and French and just, like, but, like, again, that part in the book, for some reason, just didn't.
Did
really
he talk about the Mackenzies in the book?
Yes, and Ellen, and
okay.
So he must have known. I think in the book he knows Jamie, like
he knows who Jamie is, and
yeah.
that's why he's talking to him about her. Okay.
Okay. So we're back to Boston, and it's Bree's 16th birthday.
And she's not getting a car.
Except
oh, yes, she is. No, she's not.
Yes,
she is. You must pay the rent. I can't pay the rent. I'll pay the rent.
And the Bree, this is where I put down the Bree daddy moments are there but subtle. And I didn't really notice them. I didn't clearly there's a reason why Bree was a daddy's girl. And
yes.
But it's subtly portrayed in the show.
Yes. Well, I also have it down that, this is very real. I did think this was very real, but there's no mention of, like, Bree not coming between Claire and Frank, but her place in this whole dichotomy, and the fact that her saying she's not getting a car and him saying, oh, yes, you are, that would also have a strain on a marriage. You know what I mean?
Right.
If she and Frank were so tight and Frank gave her everything she wanted and they were never on the same page with parenting, that's usually like the number one, like, you got to be on the same page.
Right.
And have your discussion about being on the same page elsewhere, not in front of the kid.
Right.
So I kind of felt like that was completely left out, and probably because they don't have the time to even go there.
Right.
So,
but also don't forget, like, Claire was kind of an absent parent.
True.
And part of it was, what he says later, like, you can't look at her and not see him.
Yeah.
So maybe she chose to not look at her in some ways. I know, right?
I can easily.
Yeah, I can kind of. All right. So then we're back. We had a lot of really quick cuts. We're back to Ardmere. Ardmere. This was a funny conversation. So Jamie and Murtaugh are discussing the whole White Witch thing. Jamie's telling Murtaugh, like, everything that Duncan told him, blah, 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 blah. And then Murtaugh, like, dude, come on. Like, talk about, like, ripping the scar open. He's like, oh, I think of her often, and, you know, like, what's going on now that she's going through the stones. And then, like, oh, and the wee bairn, too. And, like, what's up with the wee bairn? And, like, Jamie's like this. Shut up.
Jamie's like, check, please. Can somebody leave him out in the cold so he'll go back to coughing?
Lord John, you know the whole doctor thing?
Never mind.
On the Doctor Day.
I loved when Murtaugh said, "Get on with it before I die of old age."
But yeah, it was just like, Murtaugh, come on! Like, do you really have to, like, go there? Like, clearly, the guy can't even say her name. Does he really want to talk about the baby that he will never see again? No, he does not.
Yeah, that was a little weird. And I don't know why I have this here, but I wish they showed a little bit more of Jamie being so commanding with everybody in the prison. You know how Jamie was like...
I think they did, though. I mean, I think that this was another thing that, like, on the second viewing, the first time you see him come into the prison or into the room, to the back room, before you know that Murtaugh's back there somewhere, someone just hands him something. I don't know what it was. It was like some...
A cup. It was a cup of something.
It was a cup of something.
Which I was expecting him to immediately hand it to Murtaugh, but he didn't.
You know, but, like, people are just, like, he's walking through a room and people are giving him things. You know, he's commanding respect in that.
I knew it because I read the books, but I wasn't sure. Very interested if any of you didn't read the book. How you felt about that. Did you really realize Jamie, like, ran the place?
Well,
but he was also like everybody's therapist. He was everybody. He got things for people. He listened to people. Yeah.
He's totally the Morgan Freeman of the prison.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Andy Dufresne.
A stint so foul. Oh my god, I love that movie.
You guys, Ardmere is totally Shawshank, though, because all the prisoners are like, you know, hearts of gold.
I feel like everyone's so nice.
The wardens are different because Lord John is very nice, and that other warden was a piece of shit in Shawshank.
Andy Dufresne, who crawled through a river of shit and came out clean on the other side.
I'm like peeing myself.
Boss, piss break. He climbed through miles of a stench so foul. Okay. You know what the killer is? This has been water for like a half hour. And yet I'm...
Oh my god. All right. Okay, we gotta move it along. We're gonna be doing this till midnight, I'm telling you. Okay. So, are we done? All right, well, Lord John asks Jamie to dinner. This is really funny the way I've written this down. I put, LJ asks Jay to dinner. Jay says he's married. LJ is bummed.
I have, dear God, somebody wash Jamie's hands before he eats, please.
So Jamie goes to dinner. They eat the pheasant. how great, like, can I just ask you how great was that scene where he puts the pheasant in his mouth and he starts chewing and he smiles?
He goes like this. Like just a tiny bit of a smile. That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying about Sam in this episode.
I know.
He's so fantastic. And that's when he asked him about he says, the sauce. And then whatever he said sounded like double coin. I rewound it like twice. And I was like, I don't know what I said. I thought he was saying something in French.
Well, maybe it's a French wine. Maybe. I don't know. But I loved that. Like, he was just, like, it was so, like he hasn't felt like a real person in so long. And the best part is, like, he out-sophisticates Lord John.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Lord John is like, I don't actually know.
Right.
And Jake's like, yeah, like, you wouldn't, but whatever.
Yeah. At some point in here, I'm like, dear Jamie, you best thank Jesus daily that Lord John is gay. Because, like, Lord John is just so impressed with Jamie, and it runs deeper than somebody just being impressed with him. You know what I mean? He's, like, developing these feelings
like
for him.
hot for him? Yes, that would be the word. Hot for him.
So Jamie lucked out.
Yes, true that. Okay, so Jamie makes a break for it. When they're looking for the snared animals, everybody's looking for Jamie. They can't find him. He finally sneaks up on Lord John when he's taking a piss.
Oh, that was sad.
He, like, you know, cat's out of the bag. He knew him. He knew what he was. That whole scene was really great. That was really great. He's like, you know, you said you're going to kill me. Go for it. And she doesn't do it. It's all good. Very good scene. Anything to add to that?
Yes. And you're going to yell at me. At some point, when they were walking in the chain gang, this isn't why you're going to yell at me. I love when they do the whimsical music and then you hear a hint of sadness in it, like the Brady Bunch music. Like, it's like the, only it's like this, like, and then it's like, okay. I can't remember this, and it's bothering me, and I really need to go back and read it again. What's the deal with the stone? The stone that Jamie said he found in the box. Jamie said there was nothing in there. King Louis never,
like, priceless jewel.
Yeah, he said King Louis never sent him. Yeah, he's like, King Louis never sent any money over to the Stewarts, and the box was empty save for this freaking priceless nugget.
I know.
It was this big. I'm like, and he gave it to him, and I couldn't remember. I'm like, did this happen in the book that did he find that stone, or did he have that stone on his person and used it to cover his story?
No, I think he found that stone. No, I think that was a true story, and he found that stone.
But wait, and am I going to spoil? Do I need to shut up?
I mean, I don't think we really need to talk too much about it, except I think it went down. I'm just trying to remember if he gave it to Lord John. But, you know, I do think he found a stone on the island.
But now I'm like, wait, did he only find one? Like I said, I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
I don't want to talk about that, a spoiler thing.
Okay.
All
right.
So we can either talk about it late at the very end or, you know. Okay. So we're back to Boston, 1966, Bree's graduation. Absolutely nothing happens because that's literally all I wrote. Boston, 1966, Bree's graduation. I
have, why can Frank go to Bree's graduation and not Claire's?
Oh, snap.
I mean,
right?
Really?
Right? Yes. Agreed.
So you're still keeping up appearances. No, of course he's going to go to Bree's because he thinks of her as his daughter, even though I'm not seeing it.
Right.
To me, he's at Claire's daughter's graduation, but whatever. Again, not complaining. There's not enough time.
He's at his daughter's graduation to me, but, you know.
I didn't see enough Frank and Bree feel that, but again, not a complaint. It's just like I said, I get it. There's just not enough time in the day. You have to prove certain points, and certain ones are more important. Some you need to leave up to either the reader or the viewer.
You know what? Now I'm starting to turn around and think to myself, it's not so much that I didn't see enough Bree and Frank closeness. It's that I didn't see Bree and Claire farness.
We didn't see a lot of Bree.
True. That's very true, actually. Okay. All right, we don't have too much to go, so let's keep going here. We're back to Ardmere. The doctor comes in to treat Murtaugh. Then we see Jamie. This is where 3 months have gone by because Murtaugh says something like, oh, the past 3 months seeing the doctor, I feel so much better now. How long has it been? 3 months. That's right. 3 months. So do you know that 3 months have gone by?
That's a good 12 meals. Maybe 13.
Well, once a week, true. Yep.
12 chess games.
So Lord John and Jamie are playing chess. One thing I noticed in my second viewing is that Lord John is taking off his dress uniform. He's just sitting around in his casual wear from Casual Corner.
Hey man, it's time to get busy.
They're totally buds. Jamie is comfortable enough to call him a wee mongrel or whatever he calls him.
Right. At this point, if Lord John was a woman in the 21st century, he'd be excusing himself to the bathroom to go take off his Spanx.
That's true. That's very true.
That's a Shannon line that I just stole.
So Lord John tells Jamie the story of why he was a Culloden. His friend is someone that was very close to him.
I haven't read the book.
Now,
is that all in the book?
I don't remember in the book in the TV show, what Lord John says to Jamie might as well have been, oh, Jamie, it's pretty clear what he's putting out there to Jamie from that speech.
Hal was embarrassed.
Yes. One could misconstrue, I was very, somebody I admired, although I think admired back then was kind of a euphemism for, was in love with or whatever.
Was digging on.
Yeah. But, and I don't honestly remember in the books if it was that overt, but it was very clear what he was saying. His meaning was very clear. And Jamie kind of processed it. And he didn't seem to be like that. He was like, okay. He didn't seem to be that he
didn't get it. He didn't
floored by it. Either you don't think he got it?
No, I don't think he read between the lines. I think he realized, he just, you know what? I don't really know. They didn't give, it wasn't like you had all this time to process before the hand was on the hand.
But wait a minute.
I don't think Jamie, look, I read the books. Jamie didn't know. Jamie didn't see it coming.
No, he didn't see it coming in the books. In the show, what I'm saying is that I think Lord John was much more detailed about the relationship between himself and this guy. He pretty much said what it was, or hinted at what it was that got him, in trouble, and at Ardmere.
And
I don't know that it was that overt in the books. I could look it up, but
I don't know. And not only that, Jamie would have been instantly grossed out. He would not have then shared a nice moment in conversation with him after Lord John made that, after Lord John told him that. He would have been instantly think about what happened to him. Come on.
I mean, I agree with you there. I agree with you, although, I mean, maybe, without Lord John, making a pass and just saying this stuff and seeming, as he did, very sad and almost a little not pathetic in a bad way, but just like he's just lost. You know what I mean? He's just like, you know, he's never gonna recover from this. Not like I'm never gonna recover from this, except I just did because you're really hot, Jamie, and I want you.
Jamie. Don't you think Jamie would have...
It's twofold. It's twofold for me. Number one, Jamie is not stupid. But number two, Lord John was... I mean, Lord John might have been wearing a T-shirt that says, I want you, Jamie. Like,
I'm sorry. Jamie isn't surprised at all or wouldn't be led to think that. It was so not... Listen to me. It was so not like, you know, you didn't see that everywhere in the 18th century, number one. Number two, he wasn't thinking along those lines because Jamie's got Murtaugh. Had Rupert. Jamie had Angus. Jamie had all of these people that if that happened to them on the battlefield, he's lost people on the battlefield himself. He gets it. He understands like a feeling of loss. Now I get it. He's talking about Claire and this one's talking about, I understand that, but I still don't think that Jamie saw that coming at all.
Here's one thing you're forgetting about. Lord John says something along the lines of like, Hal says, I will get over this.
Mm-hmm.
And he's usually right about stuff, but I don't think he's really right about this.
Right.
Lord John, and I shouldn't say I want you, Jamie, is on the T-shirt.
Right.
It's more like I play for the other team is on the T-shirt.
I don't think so. I think you're seeing the sexual end of it, and I think it's Jamie seeing the emotional end of it. Jamie's seeing that Lord John lost someone who was very close to him. And I'm not like fighting it. I
think there was just more said than that. And I agree with you. Like, and I don't remember from the book if maybe that's where it ended. The description in the book, that's where it ended. But it feels to me like the description went a step farther in terms of this is some sort of affliction that Hal says I will get over, but I don't know that he's right.
You know that because you know about Lord John. Jamie's not hearing it like that because he doesn't know. Jamie's hearing this guy lost his a close friend who he was tight with. Look at Jamie and all his Klansmen. And he was blubbering over him on the battlefield, and his brother got embarrassed, and and that's terrible. Jamie probably thought, screw Hal, Lord Melton, whatever his name is. That's too bad that this poor guy can't. Jamie's probably, I'll go a step further and tell you, Jamie's probably thinking like, damn English, you know what I mean? Like, won't let. Remember he said tight wad or whatever he said earlier, and he won't let him. Jamie probably felt terrible for him that his brother's embarrassed that he's blubbering all over his dead friend.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know that I completely agree with you, but I would like to hear what people say in the comments because
maybe
it's somewhere in the middle.
Why do you need Jamie to have understood what that he was gay?
Because to me, what Lord John was saying was akin to wearing a T-shirt that says "I play for the other team."
Well, we know that.
But I mean, what I'm saying is that wasn't. There's two messages here. I play for the other team, and I'm interested in you, Jamie Fraser. And the first one, maybe Jamie can process that. I mean, he's been around the world. He's seen a lot of things. Maybe he's. And granted, he's somebody who, obviously, if it gets personal, it's not going to be good. But, maybe, could he be accepting if it didn't affect him on a physical level, could he be accepting of somebody else, who had that inclination?
Right. I do like what you're...
Probably.
I do like what you're saying, that there's two different things here. This is me... and I want you. Those are two different things.
Yes.
So maybe you're saying Jamie could be okay with it if all he's saying is this is me and this was my relationship. Yes. I still, because I read the book, do not believe that. I do not believe that Jamie had any inkling until Lord John put his hand on his hand. And I will I do want to point out that the second time around, watched this. I don't want to say I had a hard time with it, but I really was touched when he said, perhaps the greatest burden lies in caring for those we cannot help. Carol had to take a little moment there because I was like, and then after that, he said, not in having no one around to care. And then he said, it's emptiness, but no great burden. So like that, just the whole, perhaps the greatest burden lies in caring for those we cannot help. Really like, so I just thought this scene was so fantastic.
I thought it was a great scene too. But I thought that Lord John revealed more about himself in the TV version. I mean, up to like the real reveal. He revealed more about himself to Jamie than he did in the book. That's all I guess I'm saying. But I would be curious to see how other people interpreted it. But anyway, you know,
I'd be more curious to see what the producers really, if there's any possible truth to what you're thinking that they meant for Jamie to get it at this point.
Well, and they sort of change the subject because then they talk about like Claire and like how, you know, Jamie really admired what he did. You know, trying to protect Claire, but Claire was never in any real danger, and they laugh over it, whatever. But anyway, the hand action does come. Same as in the book.
The second time, I was like, I can't even watch. Because I'm so upset for Lord John that I know. Like,
oh my God, the look on his face when Jamie's like, or I'll kill you, like, and then when Jamie walks away and you see everybody's so good in this episode. God damn it.
I know, and I'm realizing that we need to hurry this along.
I know.
Like
we
right
don't
now.
have too much more to do. Okay, we're back to Boston. Frank is going back to England, and he wants a divorce. And he's taking Bree.
Yeah, that pissed me off in the book, and it pissed me off in the show.
Okay, I have to tell you guys, and Carol, the line of the series thus far for me, in terms of hilarious and made me laugh, like right on the floor, is...
What about Candy?
Sandy.
Matt Roberts.
That was great.
You get Broadway standing ovation applause for that one because that was hilarious. It was so funny. Do you think Candy even knows where England is? That
Tracy,
Frank is gonna bring her over there.
She has 47 degrees from Harvard. Of course she does.
So in this particular scene, Frank was just a huge tool. I was like, in fact, I wrote down, Frank is such a tool that Claire should say, you know, well, you're not her blood father, so forget it. You're not getting her, like, bitch.
That was weird.
Yeah.
The whole thing is weird. It's weird in the book. It's weird there. Like, what? Yeah, okay, you're going to take her. You know what? I shouldn't say it's weird in the book because in the book you're more aware of his father, him being her true father, and him having such a great relationship with her, and it doesn't seem that far-fetched that maybe she'd go with him.
Oh, it's not at all. But you can kind of see where he's like, listen, there's great schools. I have some pull at Oxford, and you're going to be the big doctor now. So she's going to school anyway. What's the difference? And she's 18. She can choose her own way. And as we, you know, have kind of maybe like interpreted from this episode, she'd probably choose Frank. Sorry, bro, but she would. So, but it was very hard hitting, and it was a great scene. But the Candy Sandy thing was just so funny. Okay, back to Ardmere. The men they're closing the prison, and the men being. What?
Hang on, didn't you love when Frank was like, "Be reasonable," like he was losing it?
I don't really remember that part. She was, I mean, I'm sorry, I just couldn't, once they talked about Candy and Sandy, I was just like...
I actually
I
have.
should listen to anything else.
It's so funny because I seried all of this. I talked to it, and now I'm like, oh my God, what that changed everything I said. I think this is the most real situation we've seen on the show, and the most real conversation they've had.
Yeah.
Oh, when he says, "Might you have forgotten him in time?" and she says, "That amount of time doesn't exist."
Yes.
And then I have, wow, I really feel bad for Frank.
Yes. Then I felt bad for him too.
And then I also, well, it's in other books, so it was never in the Outlander series, but, they don't really go into his military career and, I don't know. I just, at that point, I remembered, like, poor Frank.
Frank,
all right, anyway.
Yeah, this was like the tennis match in my head. And they were
Right.
just like, they traded, each one kept breaking the other one. And like,
Yeah.
Okay, Ardsmir's being shut down. Men are getting transferred to America. Except for Jamie. Jamie is getting taken off this way, and Murtaugh's going that way.
Can I say a spoiler?
Should we have the return of Sheldon that we haven't had in the season yet? Sheldon, go!
Excuse me! Spoiler alert!
Look at the time in the recording. I have written down, "Bye, Murtaugh. See you in the Carolinas."
And I have, see you in season 4, Murtaugh. Okay, we're back. So Jamie is off to Hellwater to serve, and once again, yet another name that I've been saying wrong all the time. I've been saying Dunsane, and it's Dunsane.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
Is there any name besides like maybe Jamie that I've gotten right this whole time?
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
There's not. Again, great scene. The two. I can already tell. Like
they
there's
have
just
a great
hours
rapport.
and hours and hours and hours of swoonalicious swoonery between the two of them.
They must have said to the two of them, "All right, you know what? Go out to the pub."
I know.
And spend some time together.
I know.
Because they get along. There's
really good chemistry, and there has to be with the two of them.
Yeah.
And you can really see like a mutual respect between the two of them.
Right.
Like just really good work. Really good work. Okay, so we're back to Boston. Claire had gotten the call earlier to go back to the hospital, which of course she did because she has no life other than at the hospital. She's got quite the bedside manner with that,
Well, he kind of grabbed her. She was like, yeah.
I know,
yeah.
but she's like, okay, whatever. Then Dr. Joe comes in, and you can just tell the news is not good.
Poor Joe. I'm like, I wish they would give him more to do. Like, then just make the cocktail and say, it's Frank. Like,
I don't know. Maybe he'll be in more of the season. I don't know.
I hope so. I love Joe Abernathy. Love him.
Abernathy?
Abernathy.
No, it's Abernathy. Because I screwed that up last week, too. So, okay. Dr. Joe has bad news. And Frank, let's give it up for Frank. My glass is empty, or I would say Shalon Java, except he wouldn't like that really. He would want to say cheerio, mate. Frank is that's it for Frank. Katrina, fabulous scene. Oh my God! Now maybe you didn't notice this, but they do this kind of like tight shot when she's like sort of like on him a little bit. And then she says, like, you were my first love, and she kisses him, and a tear comes out of her eye and goes down his nose.
Do you really think I wouldn't notice that? I have written down, how could Tobias have stayed still during this with her tears coming down his nose? Her tear went.
That was so effective.
It reminded me of when Denny Duquette died on, I know you didn't watch Grey's Anatomy, but it was the same thing. And it was Katherine Heigl. Who cried,
Claire
and I remember
wannabe.
reading what?
Claire wannabe.
I remember reading Jeffrey D. Morgan saying about how like it was so hard to keep still because her tears were falling on my face or on my neck or something. I mean, that tear went straight down his nose.
I know.
Yeah, it was a great scene.
It was a great scene.
And kudos to him, man. When I always am amazed when they have to do these death scenes and stay perfectly still.
I know.
And she's touching his hair
and his like chest and yeah. Really good. So, you know, we know Blackjack is dead. We know Frank is dead. If this is who knows? Maybe he's got some flashback scenes sometime.
Oh, probably.
Somewhere.
I would think so. Yeah.
But if this is the last time we see him, like slow golf for Tobias Menzies.
You're not going to believe I'm going to say this. I hope we do see him again.
Oh, I do too. I mean, he's just really great. He's really great. He does a good drunk, which is always very hard to do. That he proved to us in this episode.
Yeah.
He made, again, and we said this about Mary McNabb last week, and I'll say it about Frank this week. You know, he made Frank, I think, more likable than in the books. I don't know. Frank doesn't have much personality in the books, but I think like he had kind of a humor, and you could see that he really loved Claire. You could see that Claire really, really did love him. Had I think a lot of people always talk about how, even if Jamie hadn't come around, they still wouldn't have stayed together. I think they would have. If Claire had never met Jamie, had never gone through the stones, I think they would have had a fine marriage. I really do.
Well, I think they would have had a fine marriage, and I think they would have stayed in England, and I think... here's what I don't get, and then I'm going to shut up because we need to go. She didn't want to be the housewife, but she had no problem frolicking along looking for herbs in the first book. You know what I mean? Like, it's their honeymoon, and he goes off to talk to his historian friend, and she goes to pick flowers. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, she doesn't want to be a housewife after she's, tried to stop, like, the uprising.
Excuse me, this is what you're saying. If none of that ever happened...
Slept with the King of France and all this stuff.
Okay, if none of that ever happened, do you think she would have been content being a housewife? Isn't the point, like, Claire's not cut out for that?
Like, would she have gone to medical school with or without ever going back through the stones? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Because I do think at the end of the day, she really did love Frank. She did. And... she had, like, movie love with Jamie. She had normal love with Frank. And people stay together with normal love. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I do love the whole, would she have been happy or not? Would she have been, if she just, like, if Frank was able to have kids and they just, like, did the kids and the dog and would she have been content with that or not?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me personally, I can kind of don't you look at your own life and say, I know for me, like when I first got married, I was sort of the little wifey for like less than a year. And then I got this job and went into corporate life. And for years I was traveling and on airplanes and in other states. And you know what I mean? Had this life. And then I had kids, and then I was back to being the housewife. So I've been blogging or commenting about this on the blog this week with people, and I made mention of that. Like, I see it from both sides. You know what I mean? I was the corporate person who, like, I rolled at the soccer moms. I hate that term, and I have been the housewife with you know what I mean? So that sort of fascinates me about her. Mm-hmm. If Jamie never happened, if France, if all of that never happened, would she have been content to be the housewife in the 50s with Frank?
Here's what would have happened.
Or in the 40s?
She wouldn't have been content. She would have gotten a job. She would have done the corporate thing. Then she would have turned a certain age and been like, this corporate thing sucks. I want to be a housewife again.
She would never have done the corporate thing because it was the 50s. She would have been in a steno pool.
Right.
She would have been in personnel.
Corporate life is a little overrated. Like, honestly, I would give my right arm to be a housewife right now. My right arm and possibly my left. Because corporate...
now, are you including being a parent in there with housewife?
Well, but that's what I was gonna say before, was I forgot about the fact that Frank can't have kids. So that may have torn them apart.
So they wouldn't have had kids.
That may have torn them apart. Because remember, way back when, in the first book, Frank did not want to adopt any kids. He wanted to just keep trying.
Right.
So that's a different story. And that may have done it.
But when you say, I'd give my right arm to be a housewife right now, there's a difference between somebody who doesn't have kids and doesn't have a job and somebody who has kids and is home being the housewife.
I think you want to know the answer.
Well, how can you comment when you've never done one?
I know. And I probably I can't.
This is what I'm saying. I've done both.
No. You have not done the corporate with kids.
I'm not saying I did the corporate with kids. I'm saying I've done corporate life and I've done homemaker having kids life.
You're only giving me two options. You're only giving me the corporate life and the homemaker with kids. What about option 3, the homemaker without kids?
Do you know a lot of... God bless them.
That's my point.
I don't think there are a lot... I'm not saying you guys aren't out there. If you are, good for you. I don't really... I'm trying to think if I know anybody who's a housewife and never had kids and never had a job.
It's called retired.
No, that's a different situation. We're talking about somebody who was, in her 20s when she met Jamie.
Right. I don't know. I'm being a little facetious, but not really, because I'm looking at life, several decades beyond that, and just like having a job that I just am like so done with, and yeah, you're not. I'm a bad example.
You're apples to watermelons right now. Like, you're not even in the same conversation I am right now. And on that note,
I don't think we're that far away conversation wise, but yeah, it's whatever.
Well, like you just said, you're talking decades later. You're talking about a job.
But
you're not talking about.
Claire now is closer to our age.
But she has a kid.
But her
and she has a job that she loves. Claire loves her job.
True. That's a big difference too. And at this point, what kind of relationship does she have with the kid? I don't know that they have like a relationship that's, I got the sense that Frank wasn't a stay-at-home dad, but in a sense he was. Think about what his job was.
Oh yeah, he would have had much more time to be home. Yeah. So
there's that. But anyway, we gotta go because it is a late one. I can't even see this clock anymore, but we've talked for a long time. But it's an episode worth talking about, you guys.
Sorry, you guys. Somebody the other day in the comments said the bad thing about you guys, your videos being so long, is that by the time it's done, I don't remember what I was going to say in the first place. So true. Sorry. All right, you guys.
But anyway, so give us your comments, as always, on the blog, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. We're reading them. We're trying to respond as much as we can. It's great conversation. Be nice to each other. And that's it. So we'll see you next week for episode 304. I don't know what the title is because I'm trying not to read them because I don't want to spoil myself. And that's it. Any last words? All right.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Have a good week. Bye, everyone.